Good morning, guys. How you doing? Yesterday I had the pleasure of sitting down with Chris Barth and talking to him about visas and how you can get into Laos now. You don't necessarily have to wait until the borders are open if you have the right circumstances. There are still ways to come into Laos for those who want a visit here, visit family here, do work here, retire here. There are ways around it, and we're going to shed some light on those today. Can you speak Australian?
How you going, Mick?
Spot on.
You can do like this too.
Man. Have you got any of your own tunes? Because I'll record some of them for background music, man. Man, you've got skills. Okay guys, we are down by the lovely Neenee River.
Hey everybody.
This is Chris Barth, the man I told you I would bring a lot of clarity to the questions of surrounding the visas in Laos. You want to come with us, do you? Say hello, Sabaidi.
Bonjour. Fais bisous. Tu fais un bisou?
Yeah, you
camera.
camera shy now, hey?
Oh, no.
So what are you doing in Laos? How long have you been here, Chris? Just a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur, and I started an internet company in the early 90s, 1993, with the help of Richard Branson, who saw me on TV because I was building cyber cafes back in Europe in 1993, 1994. And he saw me on TV, and he asked me to do a cyber cafe on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. And that's in 1995 at Virgin Megastore. So that's how I started.
Right. So how did that bring you to Laos?
Well, I sold my company in 1999. Then I moved to California, where I consulted for companies, and in 2006 I decided to study Buddhism. And I studied Buddhism for 2 years until I met an ex-monk, and I've never been to Asia, and he sent me to Wat Suan Mok in southern Thailand in Surat Thani province. And by the way, if you're into Buddhism and meditation, I highly recommend you look up Suan Mok, Wat Suan Mok on Google. Google is your friend, and check it out. It's really interesting. And after that experience, well, a friend of a friend told me about Laos. I didn't know anything about Laos, right?
Yeah, no.
And he says, you should go to Laos. It's absolutely fantastic. And so I took the train from Bangkok to Nong Khai, and I fell in love with the country. And this was May 1st, 2008, 13 years ago.
13 years, and that was it. You came here and no going back.
Well, it didn't work like that exactly. And I highly recommend, if you like Laos, if you want to come live in Laos, spend at least 6 months, and I recommend 1 year to figure out if it's the right place for you or not. It's very important.
I have mentioned that in videos, you know. They do see the beautiful side that I show of Laos, but it isn't for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did is after 3 flights between California and Laos in 2008, I thought, oh, I really love this place, but I have to be serious. So I rented a house for 6 months And I followed this exact advice for another friend who had been here for a long time, which is spend time in Laos, see if it's a fit or if it's not a fit.
Yeah.
And so I rented a house for 6 months, and after 6 months I thought, this is the place for me.
Yeah. That was it. Went back, packed your bags, returned.
Yeah, I sold everything, my house, my car, everything, and
so
I'm still here.
which brings us to what you're doing now. What services do you offer now?
So now I'm partner in a firm called Duang Pachan, and I started working with that company in 2012. So that's 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And we offer every possible service you can think of for expats in Laos. Our main business is visas.
Yeah.
So if you're married, you get a marriage visa. If you're an investor, you get an investor visa. If you're a businessman or somebody coming here, you get a business visa. If you're working here, you get a labor visa. There's 13 types of visa total, but these 4 visas are the main type.
We will clear one thing up straight away. Is there any type of retirement visa?
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah, actually, it's a business visa without a work permit.
Going straight or left?
Let's go left.
Yep.
And it's for people who are over 65, and you're more than welcome to come retire to Laos if you're part of the good guys.
What is that visa called? It's not titled retirement?
It's an LAB2 visa.
Okay.
It's the same as a business visa, but it doesn't have a work permit attached to it, so you're not allowed to work. You must be over 65.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
For those that aren't quite 65 but are at the retirement stage?
Not a problem.
Not a problem?
Not a problem. We just process a business visa for those people.
Okay.
And,
is that difficult to get?
Well, you just got to pay our services and you get it.
Yeah.
But there are restrictions on certain countries, so you need to contact me for that. But most European, American, well, Western countries, you're more than welcome to come spend your money into Laos. That's not a problem. And of course, during COVID, there are restrictions, but it's not that difficult. You just need to contact me and I'll let you know what works and what doesn't.
So those 4 main visas that would be applicable to people wanting to travel here, live here, work here, retire here are?
If you're married or if you have a girlfriend in Laos, that's fine.
Yep.
If you have a previous travel history into Laos, that's fine too. If you have an employer or a prospective employer, you can come to Laos. If you're an investor, you can come invest into Laos, of course.
But what are those 4 visas that you did touch on? They were...
So the investor visa for investors, that's $250,000 minimum investment in Laos. It could be a hospital, it could be a school, it could be a business, a factory or something. If you're married or if you plan to marry with a Lao national, if you're retired or about to retire in Laos and you have a pension, if you have a previous history of travel into Laos or a previous job, you're more than welcome during COVID. And of course, after COVID is over, you can come when visa on arrival is reinstated, but that's going to be quite some time.
And we don't know what the landscape's going to be looking like when that does happen. So that's just an outline of the visas available. We're going to go back and get more into depth of what is required of you to be able to access these visas that Chris has mentioned. Check out this place, will you? Have a go at these trees. It's not what we're here for, I know, but I just can't get over the beauty of this place, man. It is a great spot. Okay, where were we? We were going to tackle this issue of visas. We'll start off with the entry-level visa, as you could say, the tourist visa. Whether you're coming here for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, this may suit a fair few people.
Well, what you need to understand is before COVID, you could come to Laos on what's called a visa on arrival. So whether you're European, American, Westerner, you would simply come to Laos, and you just present your passport. You pay $30 or $40, and boom, bang, you got 30 days renewable twice in Laos. So if you stay 30 days, it's $30 or $40, and if it's 90 days, it would be $90 or $120, depending on your country of origin.
The initial visa is 30 days, but isn't it? You cannot get 30 days on arrival. You'll have to extend it once you're in the country. Is that correct?
No. So before COVID, you could come with your passport if you're a Westerner, and just get 30 days for $30.
Yeah,
sort of.
Yeah, around that.
And then you could renew it twice.
Yeah.
So you could get 60 or 90 days. Up to 90 days, then you have to leave the country and come back, and that's called a visa run.
Okay. And then you can start the process all again. Is there any limit to how many times you can do a visa run? So you could live here indefinitely?
Technically you could, but after a while, I mean, most people need a job, or they find a woman, they get married, or things like that.
That'd be changing,
and
wanting
that
to
would
start
be changing.
a business.
So I don't recommend staying here several years on a tourist visa. But what you need to understand is, since COVID in March of 2020, last year, there are no more tourist visas. That's finished.
Yep.
So now you need a sponsor. You absolutely need a sponsor. So either you sponsor yourself through an investment of at least $250,000, like we talked when we were walking.
Yeah.
Or you have an employer because you work for a company here and then you're sponsored. Or you have what's called the business LAB2 visa, where a company like us, Duong Pachan, or Chris Barth, Expat and Legal Services, sponsors you, and or you're married, and in which case your wife sponsors you. That's how it works.
Right. So when you say sponsor, how is people just going to be normal tourists coming into the place, flying, visiting Thailand, want to come across, check out Laos?
Well, hopefully when everybody's vaccinated, or when 70% of Laos is vaccinated, hopefully they will reinstate what's called the visa on arrival process. But I don't see that happening in the immediate future.
There's going to be a lot more restrictions to that visa.
COVID is not just going to disappear.
No.
It's going to be a step-by-step process. Maybe you take 2 steps forwards and 1 step back.
We got to learn to live with it.
Exactly.
Exactly. So as the tourist visa was, and if they were to reinstate it with some new restrictions living post-COVID, if it was similar, there is sort of no restrictions on how many visa runs you could do.
So currently, with the COVID, it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. It doesn't play any role, because there is no procedure for vaccinated people at this time. This will change maybe in a few months, or maybe next year. So right now, if you want to enter Laos, you need a negative PCR test before you leave, 72 hours before your last leg into Laos, your last flight into Laos. And then you need another PCR test that's negative upon arrival into Laos, and a 14-night quarantine. That's how it works. The good news is that quarantine hotels are much cheaper in Laos than in Thailand. It starts at $400 for 14 days, including 3 meals. So that's pretty good. But you do need to keep in mind, and this is a question that I get a lot, which is that what's the budget to come to Laos right now? It's not cheap, because you need to fly into Asia, into either Incheon, South Korea, or Kuala Lumpur, and that's probably about $800, $900, or about $1,000. Then you need to fly from Incheon, South Korea, or Kuala Lumpur into Vientiane Batai Airport. That's the international airport in Vientiane, Laos, and that's $650. So right there, you're looking at somewhere around big ballpark $1,500. So you add to that your minimum $400 quarantine, $100 14-day insurance. That's so that's $2,000 right there. So the flight $1,500, the quarantine $400 minimum, the insurance, so that's $2,000 if my math is right, which it is. And then you're obviously have expenses. So and then you need your certificate of entry, which you spoke about in previous videos. That's $550, and your visa. And we start visas at 3 months, $290. So that's $840. So 2,000 plus 840. You're looking pretty much at almost $3,000 if you want to come to Laos and spend 3 months. These visas are renewable, they're extendable. You can stay pretty much as long as you want, as long as you pay for your visas using a company such as mine.
Right. I was actually unaware that you could actually come in with, if you had these things in place, you know, if you qualified for it.
Yeah.
I just thought the border was shut unless you were a permanent resident, a spouse, or somebody of very it was very important. But
no, that's right. A lot of people think that it's very difficult to enter Laos. You need to have a valid reason to come to Laos. So what's a valid reason? It's you have family in Laos, you have previous history of working in Laos or coming to Laos, you have a girlfriend. You don't have to be married, but you need to have a history. So I just need a few pictures with your girlfriend in Laos, that's fine. A wife, somebody who's sick, something like that. You need to have a valid reason. And Laos is much more open than Western countries. And actually, I sign off your entry into Laos. So we do an interview, I check that everything confirms, and then I go to Ministry of Foreign Affairs and I say, this guy is cool, he's been here before, he's got a girlfriend, I've seen the pictures, and I sign and stamp the application process so you can enter Laos with a certificate of entry. That's how it works.
Right, okay.
And actually, people would be surprised, but there's 2,000 to 3,000 entries of foreigners into Laos every month during COVID. Yeah.
Right, okay.
There's 12 airplanes that arrive and they're full. One airplane is 150 people. So times 12, that's about 2,000 people by airplane. And you have about 1,000 entries by land border. So that's about 3,000 entries. And they all go into what's called ASQ hotels. They're quarantine hotels, approved by the government, the Lao government. And that system works really well. PCR test before you arrive, PCR test upon arrival. You're all negative, you do your 14 days, and then you're off and you can enjoy beautiful Laos.
And we'll just touch on the amount of COVID. You know, we're averaging 90 to 100 cases a day in Laos, but when you actually do look at it, they are imported cases. They are cases that are being picked up at the border through this process the government has in place. You know, there's only been like 1 or 2 community cases in the last week or so. There isn't much in the community now. You know, if people were to look,
imported cases.
It's imported cases, which means when they're coming into Laos, they're actually detecting it through the process they have in place. They are doing a good job here. You know,
fantastic.
Considering what is happening all around us at the moment.
Actually, it's interesting. We haven't had a single Westerner have COVID.
Right, I was going to ask you that.
Never happened. Never happened. Most cases, so just so you understand, you have foreign workers in Thailand and Cambodia and Vietnam. So I call them foreign workers because they're Laotians working in those ASEAN countries, so Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia. And they're coming back into Laos. Because of the situation, they don't have a job, they want to come back to their family, etc. 15%, this was in a Vientiane Times article 3 days ago, 15% of Lao returnees from these countries all test positive.
Right.
So as you were saying, we don't have really community outbreaks here.
No.
They occasionally happen, but the government is really good at tracing and finding anybody who's positive, and anybody that they've met, they find them, they test them, and they quarantine everybody for 14 days. And that's why the situation is sort of under control at this point, but it's really the problem right now is with Lao returnees, especially in Thailand, where we have 10,000 new positive COVID cases a day.
Okay guys, as you would have gathered from that, the tourist visa as it once was is, you know, if it does get reinstated, will come with a lot more stipulations post-COVID. There's not much more information we can give you about that until that actually does come into play.
Exactly.
From there, I think we might touch on the spouse visa. You know, people who are here, met somebody. Have you got any advice on that, mate?
Well, I'll give the same advice that I was given when I came to Laos, and that was, Chris, before you do anything, before you invest in land, before you get married, etc., spend 1 year, or at least the minimum, spend 6 months in Laos, and don't make any promises. Don't engage into something that you might have difficulty getting out of. Just enjoy, travel, learn a bit of the language, learn about the food, and see if it's the right place for you, because Laos is not for everybody. It's not. It's a totally different world here. People don't think the same. They don't do things the same way that we do.
You're still trying to work them out?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever will, man.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
But that's what makes Laos so interesting.
Yeah,
because it's
the
a
intrigue.
lifetime.
Yep.
It's a lifetime of intrigue and trying to figure out why did she pick this up like that? Why did she say that? Why did he react this way?
Why did that upset her?
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely intriguing. That would be the right word. Yeah.
What does it entail to, you know, you do find somebody you want to marry, yeah, and these are all services you offer, yeah, not the marrying part, but but
yeah, of course. Well, what you need to know is that if you meet somebody, the family law is very clear. You're not allowed to spend the night with your girlfriend or with a Lao woman. If she's Thai, Vietnamese, Falang, whatever, that's not a problem. But the Lao law on the family law is very clear. After 7 p.m. and before 6 a.m., you're not supposed to be under the same roof.
Right, even if supervised?
Well, actually, you can be in a hotel. That's kind of accepted, but you're not supposed to like live in the hotel with the same person. So, and you're supposed to get married. So, it's a bit of a catch-22, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a... So, I mean, now in Vientiane, which is the capital of Laos, it's you can get away with it, sort of. If you're an older man, for example, that's more accepted. If you're 60, 70, a retired person, that's actually fine because people respect older people, so they don't want to make problems. Now, if you're younger and if you're out and if you have several girlfriends, that's no. You don't want to play around with that. This is a communist country. Everybody knows everything, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to disappoint a Lao person, and you don't want to disappoint anybody in general.
Yeah.
So if you're helping the person, the family, teaching English, something like that, something that's positive, typically authorities will leave you alone. You see, it's a different thinking. It's not like in the Western world where the law is the law, the rule is the rule, it applies to everybody the same way, etc. It doesn't work like that here. It's very
it's not
different.
revenue raising. That's what you're trying to say. Where the law is the law, no matter what excuse you got, you're going to pay the fine anyway. But not here, not so much here. So they do bend a little.
They do bend a little, and the good news is that before, like 10 years, when I came in Laos 13 years ago, if I was with a girl in her village, $5,000 fine and expulsion from the country. Now the fine is more like $500.
I had heard stories about 5,000, and I thought that was a bit much. I've heard a few about the 500. At 5,000, yeah. I
remember a guy being brought to the bank with 2 military guys with AK-47s, and he was going to get the $5,000. He got the $5,000. He gave it to the police and the military, and he was then sent straight to the border and blacklisted from Laos forever.
Right.
But that was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That doesn't
it was a different world then, wasn't it?
Different world.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one thing. So take your time. Don't buy land right away. Learn the language, travel, meet somebody. You can meet somebody, that's fine. You can meet a Lao woman, go to places like Hua Pan province, Sam Nua, meet Khmu people, Thai Dang, Thai Dam. My wife is Thai Dam. Just I don't know, mingle with Lao people, learn a bit the language, and see if it's something for you. Don't get too excited. Don't jump into something don't jump in where you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay?
great advice.
Take your time.
Yeah.
Please don't
There
rush.
is no hurry, and that is one of the valuable lessons you learn in Laos.
Yeah.
There is no rush.
Please don't rush. Lao PDR, that's the official name of Laos. Lao P Papa Delta Romeo, Lao PDR. Please don't rush. Take your time.
How long does that actually take? You know, once you have met somebody and you want to go ahead with that spouse visa, man, you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's not something that can be done overnight as soon as you make your decision, is it?
No. You need to obtain. So just so you really understand correctly, let's say you meet somebody, okay? Well, you need some time to get to know each other, okay? Getting married is a whole process in Laos. It takes about a year to a year and a half.
Engagement party and certificate.
Yeah, and mine took 2 years because I had a child before marriage.
Right.
And I had to pay a $500 fine because of that.
Because you...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know everybody.
Shame on you, Chris. Shame on you, mate.
But it wasn't really my fault because the marriage takes 1 year or 14 to 16 months to process.
Yeah.
And the authorities understand that. It's not like I did something really wrong.
No, yeah.
But
yeah.
I did violate the law, so I paid a $500 fine. And this is something that we do. We go and talk to the police for you, and we arrange that official fine to be signed and stamped by the authorities, which is the Ministry of Public Security, the police, Secret Services, etc. And they sign you off with that, and then nobody can come and ask you for more money. Because see, if you, let's say, here's an example. This is typical. You meet a Lao lady, you go live somewhere in the village with her, and then suddenly 14 police officers show up at your property or your wife's property or whatever, and they say, oh, what are you doing here? It's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're sleeping together.
Yep.
Fine. You know, and you get fined. But who's fining you? Is it the official police? Is it the village police? Is it the district police? Which police is it? You don't know. And you're there, you're all scared and everything, and you fork out the $500, and then the people leave. They leave you alone, but can they come the next day, the next week, the next month? You don't know.
Yeah.
So that's where if you start the marriage process, but please don't start the marriage process unless you're serious about marrying that Lao woman. If you're not serious about marrying her, please don't come see me. You know, I never sell something that you don't need, and I honestly don't want to process a marriage license for you if you're not serious about marrying that woman and taking care of her and taking care of her family. That's very important to understand.
Yeah, absolutely agree, man.
Yeah.
Which brings me to a question that people have asked. Do you need to be married in Laos to access a spouse visa? Or
Yes.
So you can't get your foreign marriage certificate?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Okay, there's 2 ways of getting married to a Lao woman. The normal way, and the one that I advise everybody to do, is to get married in Laos. It's more expensive, it takes longer time, but then you get the official marriage license, which then gives you access to permanent residency, and we'll talk about that afterwards.
Yep.
The other way is you bring, for example, for U.S. citizens, you can get a K-1 visa, which is a U.S. visa for your fiancé to come meet you in the States. You get married there, and then you come back to Laos, which is okay, you can do that, and we can actually notarize your marriage in Laos, and then you can live together. But that does not give you access to the marriage license. That's a problem. And so if you want to live long-term in Laos, I highly advise that you get your marriage license with a company such as Chris Barth Expat and Legal Services, and which then will give you, a red carpet in Laos, for example, to permanent residency, and we can talk about that now.
Right, okay, yeah, great information there. Yeah, that is something a lot of people did want to know if they had been married overseas, and they want to know if they could access the spouse visa.
It's okay.
Through that.
It's okay. You can live in Laos with a marriage overseas, but then you have no access to the spouse visa,
Right. Yeah.
and you have no access to
Yeah.
permanent
Yeah.
residency. After
You're not
5
going to
years.
get busted for sleeping with a Lao woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all it gets
Exactly.
you out of.
That's
That's
right.
all it saves.
That's the only
from.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just this one time, I didn't know you were filming, and then I was
Oh,
like,
right.
oh shit, he's filming right now. 'Cause I saw the-
You'll know I'm filming,
Right.
dude, because I'll just start
Yeah.
talking to my hand like this. We'll just touch on some of the questions. This is going to be a long video, but you know, those who are after this information, they will hang around. Just answering a question. This one guy, let me find this. Can't find it. Anyway, I do know the question. It's got to do with digital nomads coming here, working here, living here, even though they are working for a business outside of Laos. Can that be accommodated here, Chris?
Of course. And that's actually, so my company, well, we process 6,000 visas a year. That's a lot of visas.
Yeah.
But compared to the foreign workforce, which was 64,000 foreign workers in Laos pre-COVID, it's not that much. It's actually, we were at 9,000 visas before COVID.
Yeah.
So we processed 14% of the foreign workforce in
Okay.
Laos, which is not so bad, actually.
Yeah.
But so if you're a digital nomad, you're not working for a Lao company or anything like that. And that's where we come in, and we can process a visa for you so a visa is a multiple entry visa issued by immigration, a stay permit issued by the police, Ministry of Public Security, and a work permit. And we have to issue a work permit to any foreigner who's over 18 and under 65 years old. We have to do that. That's by law. So as an agency who is authorized to process visas and stay permits and work permits, you're more than welcome to come to Laos and be a digital nomad and work in Laos and get money from any country you want and spend your money here. Of course, everybody's happy with that. And we will process that visa for you. Just understand, we do the processing and the issuing is by the government authorities. We just do the running around and help you, and we charge extra for that. That's very important to understand. We have staff, offices. We have 5 offices in Laos. Luang Prabang, Vientiane, we have 2 offices. Takek and Pakse, that's 5 offices that we have. And we have to pay for our staff. We pay our staff very well. They're very well trained, and we're more than happy to process visas for digital nomads.
Right. Don't want to take anything away from your business or anything, but is that doable by the person themselves?
Yeah.
They would be able.
So technically it's possible.
But
just like
maybe you might want to explain how difficult the paperwork.
Well, you can actually explain it because
I do.
Because you
that's
got
why
married.
I'm smiling.
Because you got married in Laos and you did it yourself, and it was a hell of a job to get it done. And the reason why we did 9,000 visas pre-COVID, 6,000 now, is that it's just so much easier. You just call Chris Barth, Expat and Legal Services. We just take care of it for you. You pay maybe a little $100 extra to pay the staff, to pay for everything, but then it's done, it's easy, and most importantly, it's legal. Because there are many people out there trying to sell you visas and stuff, and that's not legal. So you need to use a legal agency such as ours.
I could tell you now, you would probably spend more money doing all the running around yourself, trying to get this done, rather than just sitting back and letting somebody else do it for you. You know, the documentation and paperwork system in Laos is next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Digital
nomads, not a problem at all. Coming here, working here, and doing your business.
Yeah. And please, I ask you, if you love Laos, if you want to live in Laos, you have to respect the law and the rules of Laos, and they're not easy to understand because it doesn't function the same way as in Western countries. So it's really, really important. I beg you all to respect the Lao people, to love them, have fun with them, drink beers and learn the language, and you could have a most formidable life in Laos. But please respect the Lao way, and the Lao laws, and everything will be fine, and you will be happy, the Lao people will be happy, and life is about being happy. That's what it is.
Yeah, very well said, mate, very well said.
On fait la photo, tu leur dis.
One thing we didn't cover, and it is a query actually, can you work here on a spouse visa?
No, that's very important to understand.
Okay.
The spouse visa is a multiple entry visa. It's called SPB3.
Yep.
And a stay permit. You always need both in a visa. But there's a big stamp, big red stamp in your stay permit that says no employment allowed or employment prohibited.
Okay, if you wanted to work, would you migrate to a work visa then?
That's very easy. So either you are employed by an employer, then we process the visa under your employer, and that's 96% of our visas.
So forget the spouse visa then, if you wanted to work.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or if you're like a digital nomad, or if you don't work, you're retired, semi-retired, you're not 65 yet, or you have like contracts with companies in other countries, then we process a visa, stay permit, work permit under our company. We sponsor you, and that's not a problem as long as you respect the laws and the rules.
That's it. Yeah. We.
Viens, I see you.
Hello,
Hey,
Sabaidi.
that's my son there. Ça va?
What a cute little boy. How are you, mate?
Yeah.
Do you speak Australian? Can you speak Australian?
Speak Australian?
Say how you going, mate?
Tu peux dire? How you going, mate? Tu peux dire? How you going, mate?
How you going, mate?
Spot on. Good dude, yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Right, what an awesome little chill place you have here. Hello, you're a little cutie. You his girlfriend, are you?
Very. We're at the mix between Westerners and Lao. It makes beautiful children. Beautiful children. You're older than me. I'm supposed to respect you. Don't do it.
Right. I never knew that.
Yeah.
So you do that to somebody who's older than you?
Yeah, it's out of respect because you're older than me.
Okay. So I was just respecting everybody when I do it.
Yeah, don't. It doesn't work.
Okay. So I'm not going to have to do it very often then, am I?
No, the older you get, the less you get to do it. Yeah.
Such a beautiful country. It really is a different pace of life here, guys, and that is something why Chris has pointed out, you've got to come here and actually live it for 6 months and see if it is really for you. Because as I've said many times, it's not for everybody, and you cannot see the humidity and the heat on camera sometimes. Well, you can't at all. It is great today, this time of year. I love it. From now until after Christmas, perfect time to travel. Well, maybe not so perfect because of the rainy season, but from late September, October, awesome time. Beautiful and green, and the weather is very mild. It is very good. What have you got? Bye. See you later, man.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Man. Have you got any of your own tunes? Because I'll record some of them for background music, man. Man, you've got skills.
Thank you, sir.
Mate,
I play at Wind West, I play with all the bands in Laos.
That type of music is great background music for this style of life, man. It really is. magic.
But it took me 30 years of playing alone to get
Yeah.
there.
I've never heard anybody that good at it
There's
live.
two of us in Laos.
Yeah.
There's only two of us. That's a beautiful song too. Thank you for coming, Todd. It's a great pleasure to meet you.
Thanks for having
Awesome.
me, mate. This
Awesome.
is a magic spot to spend a Sunday afternoon. And I know we haven't covered everything yet. We just keep getting distracted, and that is Lao. That is Lao, If we don't get round to answering all your questions today, just hit us up in the comments below, and we're more than happy to meet up again.
Yeah, of course.
And cover those subjects in detail, what you're wanting. But I think we've covered pretty much everything, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But if you have any more questions, don't hesitate, and I'm always available 7 days a week. Actually, I love my job, and I love helping people, the right people, with any documentation, official documentation needs. That's what I do. That's what my company does. We have 43 staff, 5 offices around Laos, and what we want to do is help the cool people, the good people, to enjoy their life in Laos and just remove the headache. Just remove the headache of the paperwork. It's very difficult with paperwork in Laos, and if you don't speak the language, if you don't understand how it works, which most people don't understand, and that's why we're here. That's why there's a need, and that's why we're offering this service, and we're more than happy to do that, to assist, just to help people take it easy. Please don't rush in Laos. Please don't rush. Lao PDR, please don't rush.
Please don't rush.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
In the description below, you will find Chris's Facebook page and his WhatsApp number. Don't hesitate to contact him.
Yeah.
He will be able to help you out. No problem at all. Any questions you have about Lao, this is the man to see.
The man on the ground.
That is it. I don't know where that came from.
You.
I know
Came
it did,
from
but I
you.
don't know where I actually got it from.
That was
but
your
it
first.
just,
That
it
was
just
your first
sounded
video.
right, and you are the dude, the man on the ground in Laos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Take care.